Thank you very much for joining us. We, as when we are born, as human beings, we babies, if you watch them, children, you will watch them play, you will understand that they are not yet burdened by identity. We seem to know when we are born that we are part of a larger eternity, we are part of a larger universe. And over time, we start to lose that. We start to lose that. And as we lose that, it is a loss that we feel very deeply inside us. And so when you ask yourself, this yearning to find the infinite within ourselves is a yearning that never goes away because we are burdened by multiplicity of identities and therefore a large self a confusion and therefore a lack of self-worth. But that fundamental line that we keep saying that everybody inside, as Rumi said, we are not um, a human being looking for spirituality. We're spiritual beings in a human form. So, what does that mean? We are spiritual beings in a human form. We have kind of in our thought process, in the way we respond, we have forgotten that we have a connection to that idea of that spiritual being that is connected to eternity, will always be connected to eternity. And that connectivity, we are constantly yearning for. It doesn't come from anywhere. We were born with it. And somewhere inside us, that spiritual being wants to go back to it. That's why we have poetry. That's why we have art. That's why we have creativity. We have creativity because that creativity arises from a need to connect to that which is infinite within ourselves. We have poetry and art and music because everything is an attempt to connect to that which is infinite. The problem with our minds, the problem with the way we are now trained to think, our thought process is that everything has to be defined. But the moment you try and define eternity, it cannot be eternity. How can it the eternal be defined? Because if you can define eternal, then it's not eternal. And so we come across a block by the need of our ego, by the need of our mind to constantly define. And that's why the greatest seekers have been meditators because they don't need to define anything. They're not looking for definition. They're not looking for answers. They're looking for an experience. So let's now hear from Swami Gaur Gopal Das.
A farmer, while working in his barn, realized that he had lost his watch. It wasn't just another watch for him, it had a lot of emotional value attached to it. The watch was a gift from his father, whom he loved so much, but was no more. He tried searching for the watch in every nook and cranny for a long time, but he just couldn't find it. Right there in his field were a couple of children playing and jumping around. Tired from his search, he asked the children if they could help him find the watch, and that anyone who would be successful would be abundantly rewarded. The children were excited both with the adventure and the prospect of the hefty reward. They went in and began their search. They scanned through and around the entire stack of hay, but still couldn't find the watch. Just as the disappointed farmer was about to give up looking for his watch, a little boy went up to him and asked him if he could be given another chance. Hoping against hope, the farmer looked at the boy and, seeing his sincerity, thought he definitely deserved a chance and that it was worth giving a shot. The little boy went in the barn and in a very short while came back out with the watch in his hand. The farmer was absolutely delighted, but simultaneously surprised. What he himself and many of the grown up boys couldn't do, this little one had done it. So he asked the boy how he had succeeded when everyone else had failed. With a charming smile, the boy replied, "Well, it was very simple, sir. All I did was I just sat on the ground and listened. And in that silence, I could very easily hear the ticking of the watch. And then all I had to do was follow the direction of the sound. And here we have your watch. The impressed and pleased farmer then rewarded the boy as he had promised. Dear friends, when we are worked up with the situations in our life, there's a lot of noise created by our negative thoughts, our negative emotions, our frustrations, our worries, our anxieties. And in that worked up state, with all the loud mental noise, it's hard to find our answers. It's hard to figure out the solutions. When you just sit back and practice silencing your mind in that stillness, in that state of peace, in that state of calm, you're able to listen to your true inner voice and find the right direction to move in. Practice a few minutes of silence every day, going beyond your thoughts, beyond your emotions, beyond your feelings, and connect to your inner self. It's magical because silence isn't empty, it is full of answers. So, whenever you have a setback, sit back and listen to your inner voice.
My heartfelt pranams to Sekharji and very dear brother Gaur Gopal Dasji. Thank you. How beautifully you spoke of the inner yearning that is within us and the importance, great importance given to connecting with the inner self and through that the infinite. Many of us appreciate this idea but wonder how can we do it? Heartfulness practices, they're all about how to. Meditation, how to. Cleaning, how to. Prayer, how to. Evolve, how to. We have to fix what. Once you have decided what to achieve, how to, the means to achieve that what becomes palpable easily through heartfulness way of practices. There are many ways of practicing meditations. All are great, but this is something that I've experienced and I'd like to share with you all. Humanity has often attempted to connect with the infinite through prayer. As that little boy was trying to look for the watch, he sat quietly, silently to feel where the sound was coming from. And he followed the direction of the sound and found the watch. Similarly, when we are trying to connect with God, He doesn't make the sound like tick, 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 tick of a watch, so that you may follow those tick ticks of the watch. How can you follow the God who is beyond sound, beyond forms, beyond qualities? Which direction shall we follow? It is said that language of God, if you want to learn, it's only one language: silence. Prayer should be able to take us into the deep silence. Only then that true communion can happen between myself. If you start from my outer self to my most innermost self, that dwells within the deep silence of my heart, and through that, to that infinite godliness. Act of prayer to me is nothing but act of surrender, act of submission, act of expressing my inner cry. My God, I'd like to experience you. It's not that I believe or don't believe. I like to believe. My belief can become stronger, my Lord, only if I can experience your presence. I don't have the fancy that I should experience God like this or God like that, but at your terms, at your conditions. I'm not very fanciful about praising the God of this religion or that religion, because all religions are man-made. I like to follow your religion. your essence, your love. And for that, my Lord, I humbly submit my prayer that I like to experience your presence and eventually, hopefully, if I can become like you, pure love. Prayer, cleaning, meditation. They are all means to achieve a goal of godliness. And what is godliness after all? Pure love. There is no more an act of loving, because the moment the idea of verb comes in, loving, then you become more selective. You have many choices then, come forward into your future. I got to love this. And per natural law, when you select that I got to love this, automatically you're going to deny another. But in the state of love, it's all encompassing. No one becomes an exception. So there is a great importance of offering a prayer in a deep silence. Let me give you an example. Have you observed the interactions of a couple who have been married for decades? A single glance speaks volumes, and hardly any words need to be spoken. Over the years, they have transcended the need for communication and entered into a state of communion with one another. The less two people understand of one another, the more they need to communicate, isn't it? So, when a couple is newly married, a lot of communication is required. A lot of exaggeration also gets into this communication. I love you, and the other person says, I love you even more. Games go on. More they understand of one another, the subtler their communication becomes. And when they know each other so deeply, communication becomes redundant. This oft repeated statement, I love you, absolutely becomes redundant. It's when you are trying to love that you keep on saying, I love you. Similarly, in our attempt to reconnect with the infinite, with our origin, we begin with the formal prayer. Prayer is only the first step. It must mature into prayerfulness, a state of prayerfulness, deep silence, deep submission, deep surrender. In Heartfulness, we use a simple 3-line prayer to help us achieve a prayerful state. I'll repeat this prayer to you. O Master, O God, Thou art the real goal of human life. We are yet but slaves of wishes, putting bar to our advancement. Thou art the only God and power to bring us up to that stage. We offer these 3 simple statements that define our human condition. What is lacking? Why is it lacking? How to achieve it? If the goal is the ultimate, what is preventing me from achieving that highest consciousness? My wishes, my desires. And we submit to God that, my Lord, without your help, without your intervention, I cannot attain that state of absolute love. In this prayer, there is no stated expectation, but there is still the feeling of differential, that we are not yet up to that stage, that there is still infinite journey ahead of us, and that we must continually refine and remove our wishes if there is a hope to experience finer and finer states of consciousness. While offering this prayer, we honor the present moment in our journey as well as acknowledging that the journey must continue. This is done at bedtime for 10 minutes to 15 minutes, so we remain prayerful all through the night to help us connect with our source, the inner source, before we go to sleep. It is also done for a few minutes just before meditation in the morning as a way of resetting our connection. By beginning and ending the day this way, by offering a heartfelt prayer, connection remains established with the ultimate throughout the day as well as throughout our sleep. And over time, self mastery develops through this inner connection. This also develops a very refined state of Turiya and Turiyatit states, which hardly people talk about, and hardly anyone seems to have experienced such a state. At bedtime, sit comfortably, gently, lovingly, closing your eyes and simply relax. Silently and slowly repeat the words of the prayer which I just shared with you. Meditate for 10 to 15 minutes over true meaning of each word. Feel the meaning, contemplate on the meaning of the words that resonate in your heart rather than trying to analyze them. It's okay, you can analyze them, but try to feel them. What is the meaning of it and how it applies to my life at the moment? Let the meaning surface from within. Try to get lost in it. Go beyond the words and let the feelings come to you. In Vedas, one wonders how did these great sages were able to receive those words. My insight shows that they received it in the form of feelings and they transcribed it in the words. Our job is to use these words and recreate the feelings. That's more important than anything else. So repeating these words, not like a parrot, but contemplating on the meaning of the prayer and how it applies to us now. Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga culminates with samadhi, but what precedes the samadhi is meditation. All the angas finally culminates into samadhi. When mind becomes meditative, we have to meditate. Let's see, we meditate for 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, doesn't matter. Start meditation somewhere and observe your state. And see if you are able to allow your mind to hold on to this state as long as you can during daytime. So it's okay to meditate for 15 minutes, but better would be to remain meditative during daytime as much as possible. This meditative state, somehow, as we savor more and more of it, we remain more and more connected with our inner self, the guide, the source of the guidance, in a very loving way. We call constant remembrance. I don't think we have a lot of time to discuss on this constant remembrance, but I give you one small example from Lord Krishna and Mother Radha's life. There was a time when Radha was remembering Lord Krishna, 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna. She was so much absorbed. And one day, one fine moment, her inner personality completely resonated with Lord Krishna. And she herself started saying, as if Krishna is saying, Radhe, 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 Radhe. they become superimposed, resonating with each other, identifying each other in each other. No more separation was there. So, this is the parakasta, culmination that we are striving for, absolute merger with the absolute, total merger. I like to call this simple process by remembering five vowels: A, E, I, O, U. To me, A means, this acronym A stands for acquiring a state, meditative state. Okay, having acquired this state, what do? We further enliven it, make it more intense. I, E. Enlivening happens when that inner condition is reflected daily through our behavioral changes. More refined a state within me, I can make it more enlivened through my lifestyle. So, in order to acquire, I have to meditate. In order to enliven that condition, I have to adopt my lifestyle, my behavior that way. Third, by intensifying. How do you intensify such an inner state? It will automatically happen once you start communicating with each other. More and more remembrance will reinforce this idea of intensifying. It becomes more and more. For example, you're in the office and suddenly you remember your meditative state that you enjoyed in the morning. Few minutes of repeated meditation will further take you onward on your journey. It will make it more potent. O is to establish that sort of oneness. More you experience it, more you savor this condition. You become one with that state, one with that condition. And finally, the merger I just talked to you about, citing an example of Mother Radha with Lord Krishna. That's the automatic next step for which no effort is required. We can only make effort up to a certain extent. Merger happens with His grace. As I mentioned yesterday, an introduction to heartfulness practice usually comprises of 3 sessions. Let's now prepare for our third meditation session.
Now, you will be guided through a process of relaxation and meditation. During the meditation, please be open to receiving pranahuti, which is a transmission from the source of all existence. This transmission can rejuvenate every cell in your body. Sit comfortably and close your eyes very slowly and very gently. Let's begin with the toes. Wiggle your toes. Now, feel them relax. Feel healing energy from the earth move up into your feet and ankles. Then up to your knees, relaxing your lower legs. Now feel the healing energy move up your legs, relaxing them. Relax your thighs. Now, deeply relax your hips, stomach, and waist. Relax your back. From the top to the bottom, your entire back is relaxed. Relax your chest and shoulders. Feel your shoulders simply melting away. Relax your upper arms. Relax each muscle in your forearms. Relax your hands right up to your fingertips. Now relax your neck muscles. Move your awareness up to your face. Relax your jaw, mouth, nose, eyes, earlobes, facial muscles, forehead, all the way to the top of your head. Feel that your whole body is completely relaxed. Scan your system from top to toe, and if there's any part of your body that is still tense, painful, or unwell, spend some more time immersing it in the healing energy of the earth. When you are ready, move your attention to your heart. Rest there for a little while. Feel immersed in the love and light in your heart. Remain still and quiet, and slowly become absorbed in yourself. Now, suppose that the source of divine light is already present within your heart, and that it is attracting you from within. Gently relax into that feeling. If you find your awareness drifting to various thoughts, do not fight them and do not entertain them. Let them be, while simply reminding yourself that you are meditating on the source of divine light in your heart. Allow yourself to become more and more absorbed within. Stay with this feeling for the next 20 minutes. Now, keeping your eyes closed, gently ease out of meditation. Observe and savor the condition that you have just experienced. Let this condition become a part of you. Slowly open your eyes, carrying the condition with you. Meditate in this way as often as you like. You can also slowly extend the period of meditation up to an hour. You will cherish this journey within.
Thank you for all for joining us on this special program. I heartfully invite you to try all the practices, meditation, cleaning, prayer we have spoken about. These practices are also available on our website, heartfulness.org. Also, you can join us for group meditation on the Heartfulness YouTube channel every Sunday at 8:45 a.m. India times, of course. You can also connect with the trainers of the system online through the app we call Hearts app. All these services are provided completely free of charge. I also would like to thank Swami Ramdev Babaji, our very dear sister Shivani, very dear brother Gaur Gopal Dasji, and Sekharji, of course, for joining us. Thank you all and have a very happy and heartful New Year. May it be blessed one.